Very good morning and welcome to Lancashire Innovation Festival. We've only got a couple of days left now. Lancashire Innovation Festival has been a celebration of all the fantastic support there is for SMEs with innovation on their mind in Lancashire. We've still got a number of panel discussions and seminars coming up, so please check lancashireinnovationfestival.co.uk for the list of remaining sessions. In today's session, thanks for joining us. You can engage with the whole conversation using the chat function. Please do let us know where you're from and your interest in innovation, and introduce yourselves to everybody else involved. If you've got any questions that you'd like to direct to the panel, then can I ask that you please use the box marked Q&A, and they will be addressed sort of middle towards the end of the session as we go through. I'm really excited to bring today's session two of the best loved people in the Lancashire business community together to talk about innovation from perhaps a different angle, from more of a sort of ground up grassroots level. As two people who are in the thick of it when it comes to the business community and what's going on in innovation. So please do engage with as much Q&A as possible. I think this will be more of a really free-flowing conversation, hopefully, around innovation at grassroots than the other sessions that have been very much focused on perhaps some of the more high-level and academic subject areas. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass over now to Anne Williamson and Andrew Leeming, and who are going to deliver a great session. Over to you two.
Thank you, Dan. Okay.
Thanks, Dan.
Good morning, one and all. So I'm here just to ask the questions, put Andrew under the spotlight. Those of you who don't know him, you're in for a great session here. Love it, love it. Okay, so first of all, this session is all about how Lancashire SMEs can engage with the support that's available to them. And we were talking a bit earlier, and innovation isn't all about technology. So first of all, I'm going to introduce you to Andrew, because Andrew is from, is it Growth Lancashire? Andrew is from Boost Lancashire, and they have an array of support available to SMEs across the whole of Lancashire. So if ever you need anything, Andrew's your man, and Andrew will bring it down into everyday language. Okay, so first of all, Andrew, come on, what's your take on innovation? What does it mean to you?
Well, no, I was going to say, it's the obvious question to ask, isn't it? And I kind of, I was saying earlier, this innovation for me is not something super special. I think innovation is something that every single business does constantly and all the time. And for me, when I'm thinking about businesses, I'm thinking about people, individuals and leaders that are innovative constantly. Being in business is not simply having a good idea and then that continuing and happening just ad infinitum. We've got to remember, and I think business owners and leaders need to remember why they got to the place they've got to. And that was because they'd recognized there was a gap in the market. There was something innovative happening inside their brain that they could interpret to go off and make a successful business. And what we need to do and remember when we're in business is we've got to keep that hunger to adapt, to change, to think differently, to be creative, to always be looking at what other people are doing, to take all that information in and then to reflect and to adapt what we're doing constantly. So for me, innovation isn't just something you do, it's something that you do all the time. And you never stop innovating as a business. So to simply put a little tag on, hey, let's innovate today, for me, it's a bit of a nonsense. And that isn't how I see innovation. I get quite kind of jumpy around people thinking that what I need to do now is train you how to innovate in your business. That isn't, for me, what innovation is about. Innovation will be your day-to-day stuff. It will be about future gazing, looking at other opportunities, and a process then you go through about whether you can translate that to make your business better. There's a very wise individual once said to me, I didn't do it and I do it now. That's innovation. It's as simple as that. And I suppose as a caveat to that, I gained benefit by doing something differently. So to really bring it home, innovation for me, if I'm in business and I'm going to go off and I do something differently, which gives me benefit, that in a nutshell is innovation. And we could stop it there.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. Yeah, okay. Maybe we shouldn't.
Well, no, I was going to say, just to keep it going. Is it worth me? There's about 20 participants on this little webinar. Is it worth me just doing a quick overview about what Boost is, just in case there is anyone out there that hasn't been subsumed by the yellow gorgeousness that is Boost out there? So
yeah, that was actually one of my questions later, but you take it now, I'll just scrub it out.
Sorry. So for those that don't know, Boost is the growth hub for Lancashire. It's one of 38 across the country. It's a single access point for any business that is looking to do better for themselves, essentially. We know that business support is a massively complex area, and it can get very, very confusing for people. So back in 2013, we created a hub that sort of said, look, you don't have to worry about the myriad of support that's available for you. All you need to do is simply call the number, which is up there, go to the website, go to Twitter, and start that conversation. We've tried to keep it as simple as possible. It's a conversational piece, this. So we talk constantly about a growth conversation with the Lancashire business community. Yes, we've got core service offerings. So we can help with startup, pre-start. We can help with businesses that are looking for a mentor to go off and support and help them consolidate where they're at in their business. And we have a bespoke program as well, which is looking at those higher growth businesses that are challenged with things like productivity, EU exit and all that good stuff. But also sitting across all that, innovation, as I said earlier, will sit across absolutely every single conversation that we have with you, because it's about doing things better and smarter. And it's not about you having to go off and invent that all the time. Innovation is not invention. So kind of, it's about picking out the good stuff and seeing how you as a business can translate that to help you go off and make your business that bit smarter. So the other service that we have is called the Business Relationship Management Service, and that's usually where people actually start that journey with Boost. There's a team of highly experienced business support professionals with a whole wealth of knowledge, skills, and areas of expertise. And actually, if you pop onto the Boost website, meet the team, you can actually pick those down, and there's about 10 of them on there. And there's little short pen pictures of what their skills and experiences are. So actually, even before you start that conversation, you might actually pop on there and go, I want to talk to that person because they know my industry, or actually they seem to have an experience in terms of one of my challenges as I've got for growing my business. But the call to action is dead simple. You just come to us, start that conversation. The Business Relationship Management Service, obviously understand the core services that we have, but I've said it's complex. It is complex. You probably can't see this on here, but this is like one of those little sort of diagrams of what business support ecosystem looks like in Lancashire. There's probably about another 35, 40 other programs of support that are available. And obviously through the Innovation Festival, we've probably been highlighting and showcasing some of those support opportunities for people. But for most businesses, it's bewildering and they never know who they need to go off and talk to. So what we try to do is create a single access point. You pick up the phone, you have a conversation. In the olden days, we'd come out and see you, we'd come and see you in your workplace, we'd come and have a really engaging conversation about what your challenges are, but not only that, what you're actually doing as well as a consequence of recognizing your challenges. Because I think the thing I need to make really clear in terms of any business support, we don't make businesses work. That is not our role. Our role is to help you find the support offerings and the knowledge to actually implement it. The people that make the businesses work are you as the business owners and the business leaders. What I do hope we do through Boost, though, is also create a community and a kind of ecosystem which celebrates what great looks like. So I think as a kind of oversight of what Boost is, that'll do. So if you take nothing else away from this webinar and you've not engaged with Boost and you're determined to go and make your business be awesome, give us a call and we will delight you. And if we can't delight you, you'll know why we can't delight you. So then you can go away, change, then come back.
Absolutely. And it's like you say, that initial conversation after you've had a light bulb moment, or you've seen something, like you said, you know, maybe seen something somewhere else in another county, in another country, thought, you know what, I could do that here. And oh, I really, that, you know, for me, the worst sentence I hear is, but we've always done that. Yeah. Innovation is totally the opposite. It's like, come on, chuck it all out the window. But that first conversation is so crucial, because you don't always know what it is that you need, and the people, like you said, the business relationship managers, the people within Boost have that in-depth knowledge to be able to drag everything out of you, ask the questions that you don't even think about asking yourself, and then point you in the right direction. And obviously, you've talked about the mentoring and etc., and all the training and winning pitch, all of that. And then there are some very specialist niches as well, aren't there, for those who are innovating through technology. So we, you know, there's all that out there, and it's quite incredible what we have as a county, isn't it?
Yeah,
out there.
There's so much support, and there's such a hungry support community that are there to try and energize and engage you in your business to go off and do things better. Yeah. It now has never been a better time than to simply ask for help. Obviously that became one of our hashtags when COVID hit. But it remains and always has been for me one of the most powerful things that any business can do. Simply just asking for help, because the emotive response to asking for help, if you're asked for help, is, you, generally speaking, you actually want to help somebody. You want to engage, you want to go off and support them. Doesn't mean you can always make it right, but you will have essentially one other person that is gunning for you, that is behind you, that is on your team. So yes, there are some particularly niche products around, you know, the topic that we're talking around innovation. We have a whole bunch of people within the universities, and I know the universities have done some of these webinars already. I'm not sure if these are being recorded.
Yeah. To say it.
I'm going to say yes. So need to remember not to swear. But I'm quite sure that once we've kind of sense check them, we'll be making them all available. So what I would suggest is that where people sort of have an appetite to look at what explicit innovation support might be available for them, they might want to, in their own time, start rewatching or watching some of the pre-existing webinars that have taken place. But you know, generally speaking, each of our universities has some innovation support. Some it's explicit within the title, like the Productivity and Innovation Centre over at Edge Hill. You've got UCLAM doing the Innovation Clinic. Lancaster University have the Health Innovation Centre. So there's a whole wealth of, I guess, academic talent. And for me, the joy of academic talent is about how we bring that into your day-to-day businesses. Not as an academic, but as real life practical solutions and support that is going to make you do something different, but for the benefit of your business, coming back to that whole innovation kind of question. So there is tons of stuff. What I would say also is that we try and keep our website as fresh as we possibly can. So again, you know, people can just pop onto boostbusinesslancashire.co.uk. They can pop up to the programs available page, pull it down, and there's actually some what they called. You can click on one, and there's actually one for innovation. So you can click on the innovation one, and it will pull up all the programs of support that are available to you that talk about innovation. There's one for finance, there's one for skills. There's a whole kind of, you know, load of different
Tabs.
Tabs, that'll do. Yeah, I'm sure it's another word, but I can't think what it is. Anyway,
All about plain English. Come on, tabs. Tabs will do. And I think as well as the academic side, and I think again people don't realise how much they can get through the university and what's available there. I mean, I know a business locally who developed, and it was technological, but they developed that in conjunction with the university, and it was just phenomenal. That was a project that probably they would not have been able to do themselves. They had the idea, they knew what they wanted to achieve, but the university opened up that whole cohort of people able to help develop it to the level they wanted it, and that's fantastic. And then within that as well, within Lancashire, we've got large organisations as well, haven't we, like BAE and Westinghouse and Victrex. You know, they again are able to help, aren't they?
Yeah, well, cool. I mean, big organisations kind of, you know, they are absolutely directly corresponding to their supply chains, and you know they want to be as innovative as they possibly can. They want to see what great looks like, just as every single business does. But they're also kind of, you know, they potentially are great partners to go off and innovate with. And part of the challenge is about how do we create those conversations. And some of it will start through some of the networking that people do. It will start with engaging with some of the academics, because clearly they want to make sure they've got some of these bigger businesses, bigger organizations working with them, because it gives them some additional credibility. But we also need to remember that actually, for me, the people that really innovate, that really innovate, are those smaller businesses, and those ones that have that novel idea, that new idea, but don't quite know how to implement it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to gain traction with it. Bigger businesses also have tons and tons of innovation funding. They've got tons and tons of staff members, they've got teams, they've got resources, they've got things in place that can help them do that. But as smaller businesses, you don't always have all those things at your play. So that's why we need to be smarter and more agile. That's why working with the full range of business support that we have available in Lancashire, that they're all people adding to your team and your credibility. And yes, if we can get some great projects started with universities or within academia, or within working with businesses through knowledge transfer partnerships and all that sort of good stuff, we should absolutely do more about it. The thing that we don't do particularly well within, it's not just Lancashire, but because we're in Lancashire, I'll talk about that, is actually singing and dancing about what we do brilliantly. We're not very good at celebrating the awesome stuff that we do. And it's a constant challenge. Certainly through Boost, I want it to be that siren call for people thinking differently to come. And I want it to be an inspiration point as well. I want people to go onto our website, pull down a newsroom, go to case studies, be inspired by what they read, because they're reading it from their peers, from people that are like them. It's nice sometimes to have BAE Systems talking about how brilliant it is. They've just refined a millionth of a millimeter of something which is added to X amount. But kind of, does that always resonate with the businesses? It doesn't. It's far better to hear from someone that's in a sort of business that employs 4 or 5 people that they've met in a networking event you know, a few weeks ago, to see what they're doing and go, oh, hang on, I thought this was all sacred. It's not. If they can do it, I can do it. What is it that they've done differently, and how can I bring that into my business? Well, I'll tell you what, let's start a conversation with Boost and see where it goes. At worst, it'll be 10 or 15 minutes of your life that you're not going to get back. At best, it will be a lifetime of people that are there to try and make your business that little bit better, a little bit smarter, a bit more agile, and a bit more fit for purpose. So yeah, I can't remember what the question was now.
Don't worry about it. And what I was going to say was that within those large organizations, what we have got is the ability for small organizations to have those conversations about, like you say, being part of the supply chain, or, you know, here's my thing that I'm thinking about developing. And it might be that it's something that one of the large organizations actually goes, actually, this is great, let's have that. So there is that element as well. But I'm with you, you know, this is about how can small businesses innovate. And for me, the company I was talking about before, who used the university, that was a two-man band, you know, and developed a whole brand new product. So think about some of the stories. Come on, let's celebrate some of these businesses that have innovated. So who have you seen innovate as a result of what's going on at the moment? We're not calling it anything, just what's going on. Okay.
It's the C word.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I mean, just coming back to that general statement, everybody has had to innovate because of what we're currently going through with this worldwide pandemic. I don't think there's any single business, individual that's not been affected or had to think about how they might have to do business differently. The sad reality is a lot of businesses have really struggled.
Yeah.
And some businesses have been completely decimated. They've not been able to go out and do their business. And that is tragic. And whatever words I use will not be enough to say how devastating that is for businesses. But there are businesses that are hanging in there. And there are other businesses that are properly doing quite well on the back of this, because they've been able to innovate, they've been able to be agile, they've been creative in how they think about things. For some, it's also been kind of that they were delivering something which is absolutely needed right now, so they've seen a surge in demand. But the reality is that every single business has had to think differently. Home working, new ways of communicating, all this sort of stuff for me is about innovation, and it's the desire for business leaders and owners to take it on. And you know, a lot of innovation for me is also around leadership. We need amazing leaders in Lancashire which understand how business works. They understand how they make it, how they sort of do those step changes in their business, and how they bring their teams along with them. So, you know, whilst it's not innovation explicitly, things like the leadership and management stuff that we run out there, helping business leaders be better and smarter and more agile, that's all part of this innovation agenda. Innovation for me isn't a single thing. It runs through like a stick of rock, absolutely everything that a business should be doing. As soon as a business stops thinking about being innovative and doing things differently for benefit, they're not going to be in business for as long as they might want to be. They might coast for a while, and it might be lucky, for want of a better word, but there'll always be other hungry businesses behind them that think, you know what, I can do this better, I can do it smarter, I can do it differently. And if you're not constantly scanning around you, looking at what those people are doing, thinking creatively and innovatively, you won't be in the business for as long as you want to be. Now, some people might make that choice. What I would say is I don't think that is a business mindset. I don't think businesses think like that. I think businesses are generally innovative. We do want to adapt, we do want to change. But sometimes, again, that can just be overwhelming. So again, what we're trying to do is just put that human voice behind what support is available, and create some trust as well. So the thing I've not mentioned is, in terms of the business support ecosystem, there is a wealth of absolutely awesome private sector business support providers, of which, Anne, you are one. There's a whole, you are. And also, the reality is that it's the private sector that are driving most of the business growth in Lancashire. It is not the fact that I pulled down £6 million to provide a support platform to go off and help businesses. Yes, we're helpful, but I always see my role as helping people that might be mistrusting or cynical about bringing external people into their business to help them grow and change. I want to create a landing page which fills them with enthusiasm, passion, desire, rekindles that spark, so that when they have to go and make additional investments into the private sector business support community, they do it with purpose. And I think the other thing is, I try and collaborate with as many of those private sector business support partners as I possibly can. That can be creating content for me, news stories, case studies, inspirational pieces, provocations back out to businesses. And we've created something called Boost & Co. And again, if you pop onto the website, you can pull down the Boost & Co. And there's probably about 130 or 140 private sector partners that have essentially had that conversation with me about how they want to help and support the Lancashire business community to go off and do things better and smarter. And they can see that there's some added value about working together. That's not about me saying you must go to Anne or so-and-so. It's more about there's a conversation to be had. And actually, I always think that it's about the people. And again, it's that human response. So I would never tell anyone just to go to Anne Williams, however fantastic and awesome she is. I would say go and have 3, 4, 5 conversations with different partners and see which one sparks joy in you, which is going to actually make you do something differently. And as soon as you find that person, work with them. Pay them the money, because that's what business is all about.
Yeah.
Be really clear about what outcomes and outputs look like. What does success look like? Be really clear about that. And that then should be the foundation for your relationship going forward. And it might be a 6-month relationship, it might be a 2-year relationship, it might be a 5 or 10-year relationship, but it will always be changing. You will always be innovating on what that relationship looks like. And sometimes that might mean that you outgrow or you've used up somebody and you need to look around for what else is available. Or it might be that you do things in parallel and you might have 2 people coming into your business helping you and supporting you. But the bottom line is, most businesses can't do everything themselves. They certainly can't do everything themselves with the same enthusiasm and passion and joy that actually bringing someone external in can do, as long as we get the right person to go off and help them. And what we find with most businesses is that they're started because of a single topic or a single service solution or a single product, which is something that they are super passionate about. But they're not so passionate about the finances, the marketing, the sales and everything else. So part of our advice and Boost is you need to surround yourself with those people that have that same passion that you've got for making your business brilliant, bringing them in sensibly and with very clear understanding about what those terms of reference are, and then moving forward as a whole team. And some of that will, again, come back to that whole leadership agenda about how you look at your team. And you might be lucky, you might be in a business which has got 10 or 20 or 30 people in there. You might have some senior leaders within that. Boost is also there to support those senior leaders as well. So it's not always the business owner that we want to talk to in terms of our support. It is sometimes the person that is your right hand, left hand person. It is sometimes a opportunity for someone within your organization to go off and do something which is definitely going to add value to that business at some point. And what we need to do is bring in some support to help make them more confident in what that solution might start to look like. So it isn't just about the leaders and the business owners themselves. It's absolutely about how we get the top team. And then, you know, some of our support, when we start looking at the skills and upskilling people and bringing people in, we've got an amazing skills hub, skills support for the workforce. We can upskill whole teams in terms of sort of issues that are challenging to you. And some of that can be quite sort of not low level, but quite fundamental upskilling. But some of it can be really, really sort of pointed at a particular knotty, thorny issue that you've got within your business. And again, you know, you just need to come to us at Boost, start that conversation, and we can make sure that we refer you almost friend to friend, because we will listen to what you're saying are your issues and what your challenges are. And sometimes it's not for immediate consumption either. Let's not rush to conclusions or solutions. Sometimes we're going to need to let the conversation take its natural course. So it might be a conversation one week. We might then sort of come off the phone. There might have been a couple of challenges that you need to go away and have a look. We'll then give you a call in a month's time, see how that's gone, because that will demonstrate your commitment. But as part of that, there'll be some learning, which might then sort of suggest that we need to look at another course of action. So Boost is here for the longer term. We've got funding till 2021 anyway. We're pulling down funding till 2023. We are trying to set those foundations in terms of what comes next, because lots of our funding is from the European Union. So we're looking at a shared prosperity. We're looking at what the next element of great looks like. Some of you that are perhaps more over Boost might have seen that we've just rolled out peer networks. That is the first time we are looking at working with central government explicitly through the 38 growth hubs. If that goes well, and I'm absolutely certain it's going to go brilliantly in Lancashire, because we've got 17 providers, some of which have never provided business support through public sector before. But we are going to be going off and doing that at pace, because we need to, because we've actually got to get this done by January, February, March. We will then, that will get evaluated properly. If it evaluates well, I am fairly confident that government are then going to look at that as part of foundational modelling of what growth hubs look like as we go forward. And we'll start seeing more of that over the next couple of years as we start to look at what the foundational support looks like, which probably will include startup, will probably include something around general specialist support. But we also know that there will always be themes that are part of the challenge of growing a business. So people would have known before COVID, productivity challenge that we've got in Lancashire, the scale-up challenge that we've got in Lancashire. And obviously, as we get very, very close to EU exit, and I really shouldn't have mentioned that word, but we are getting there, that there will be challenges for some businesses. And part of the sort of nudges that we are starting to put out through the growth hub is that we can't afford not to be looking at what EU exit might look like for our businesses. But at the same time, we're going back to government and saying we need to make sure there's a proper support program in place that will help those businesses. And obviously, we've been hit by the wave of COVID, which has meant that actually, even if our best intentions were we're going to go and deal with that, the day-to-day sort of uncertainty that COVID can bring in just means that people aren't yet thinking about it. So watch this space. There will be more on the whole EU exit stuff. But that's just another challenge around innovation. Change is the only, it's one of the only certainties. We know that the environment in which we're trading is going to change. But what we need to do in terms of how we look at innovating is how we adapt to that. And whilst I'm sure that everyone on this call is an absolute brilliant business, a brilliant leader, it comes back to that idea that we can't be absolutely brilliant at absolutely everything. And part of leadership is about recognizing what I'm not particularly awesome at, and how do I either help my team and staff members become awesome at it by recognizing that that will give them a lift, but they've also got a very specialist skill, or do we need to bring in someone external to come and make sure that that business works? And again, I'm waffling, Anne. I can't remember what the original question was. Sorry.
Who are you? I think one of the things that you very briefly touched on there, believe it or not, very briefly, back 20 minutes, no, was about, when somebody comes and approaches Boost and actually has that initial conversations, and whatever support they're given is not the only support. So somebody may start off with mentoring or training or something within their own team. However, there is so much other support there, and you're not restricted. I think there's that element as well. So, it might be like you say, people don't actually know what it is they want or need. They have an idea of what they want, but they're not sure about their need. And then it might be that the business relationship managers actually identify a different need initially, because that needs addressing first before the need that the business really thought they needed is addressed. And I think that's one of the great things about Boost, is that we forget, there is so much out there, but there's a whole team there who actually direct you through it and support you through it and open up your eyes, because that whole, like you say, so many people don't know about it still. You just think, gosh, how do they not know? But there is so much out there. And this, I think when we last looked, 64 different providers, all with their little bits of specialisms. And, it's all out there for businesses within Lancashire and the whole of Lancashire. I think that's the other thing as well, isn't it? Whilst we are both in this area, it's the whole of Lancashire that's available. So, do you know what? Can you believe it?
Just on that point, Anne, I think it's really important that we do draw out that we are in it for the long term.
Yes.
And I don't want businesses to become dependent on our publicly funded support. But at the same time, if we can draw down funding and support for Lancashire businesses that help them go off and do things differently and better, as long as it's right for the business and their development, we absolutely should be looking at what support pathways we put people through, which is why we've got the business relationship management team, because these conversations shouldn't be, right, what can I have for free? And then tick it off, and then we go off and do it. And then as far as people are concerned, it's box ticking. This for me is where business support from the public sector has failed in the past. We've become too box ticky rather than actually sitting there and listening to what the business actually needs. We were too happy to get in front of a business, crowbar our support into them, and then leave them. That is not what Boost is about. We want to start a conversation with you. We want that to be robust, so it will be challenging. We will be asking questions that are uncomfortable in terms of what your ambitions and what your current practices are. We'll create that honest conversation because we'll create it based on trust. So we'll get you in front of people that you admire, respect, and want to work with. We will then find potentially the right support for you, and we will keep in touch with you about how that's going. So if it's not working at any time, we can step in and we can say, right, maybe we had that, maybe it was the wrong conversation, maybe it's the wrong person delivering it, or maybe it's the wrong person from your business getting engaged. And again, we'll have an honest conversation. We'll come in, we'll look at what is best, and then we'll move it on from there. But we'll also, so I do this all the time. I sit there chatting to businesses, I link in, I hook up with them, they tell me what it is they're doing. And then for the next couple of weeks or 3 weeks, I'm probably on LinkedIn going, I've just seen this, thought of you, seen this, thought of you. And for me, that's the power of networking. That's why we should be, much more free about what our challenges are. They're asking for help because people do want to help. And so it comes back to what I first said, trying to create an ecosystem here, a celebratory platform through Boost, which isn't about, right, I'm going to go to Boost and get something for free, because that's absolutely worthless. People in the past pursued grants because it was free money. They went off, they were heading in an absolute perfect line of growth. Suddenly a grant was put into place and we started moving backwards just because they wanted this extra £2,000, whereas we should have had a proper conversation with them. We don't need that. That's for other people. This is what you need to be concentrating on. And that brave conversation, actually, I'm going to call you in 6 months' time. You're doing okay at the moment. There's a few things that you need to get set up in place. In 6 months, 4 months, I will give you a call and I'll see where we're at. So what I don't want us to do is to rush to solutions either, because a rush solution is more likely than not going to be the right solution. But as far as I'm concerned, if you're eligible and it's right for your business, you could have 1, 2, 3, 4 bits of support. If you've got the capacity, because you've got a bigger team, that might be 4 bits of support all coming into your business all at the same time. The reality is most businesses haven't got that capacity. So what we need to do is have a really honest conversation about, well, we need to do this one first, because then that will allow you to get maximum benefit from that next one, which will then translate onto the other one, and so on and so forth. But we haven't always done that. We've met people in networking. We've got people like Andrew Leeming pushing on targets and outputs and outcomes, and the poor person that's trying to sort of sell their fabulous mentoring solution is just, oh, well, yeah, we could crowbar it into here. But actually, we're trying to get everyone to step back from that and to think, where does it sit on that landscape? So what I'm definitely saying is it shouldn't matter who you meet within the publicly funded business support environment. They will all act with honest integrity about where their support will sit best for your own personal growth and development. And we shouldn't be just grabbing people into our support because we need them to pick the numbers up, because that will never create an inspiring platform for people to want to get further engaged. I want people to get further engaged, and I want people to start being really willing to pay for that support.
Absolutely.
And I think actually the reality is that people that pay for support probably value it more, which is why I've banned the word free. I hope we don't see any of the literature that we put out talking about free, although there's a slight caveat to that. When COVID hit, my marketing team convinced me that actually, Andrew, it's the most search term there is. If you want to make sure you're definitely penetrating the businesses and leaders, we need to use that word. But as we start to push out of that, it's always about fully funded support. None of this stuff is really free. Someone is paying somewhere along the lines, and actually most of that someone is the businesses themselves. So kind of, see it as a proper paid for service.
Yeah.
And then as we start to move forward with more confidence, hopefully then we'll onboard our private sector partners as well, but with that honest narrative.
I think the other thing is that, initially there is, it is funded, some's part funded, some's fully funded, depending on what support you're getting. However, it's all about the output that comes from it puts back into the Lancashire economy, doesn't it? And it's about that growth and enabling somebody who maybe is just on the precipice but can't afford to take on somebody, and like you say, doesn't actually know what it is they need. And through this situation at the moment with the COVID, we've seen some great innovations, and I think we've also seen people who've gone, oh my goodness me, what do I do? And that's where, your initial hashtag was ask for help, because you recognize that. And I think that's the great thing with Boost, is that you are always looking for the next. You yourselves are innovating constantly, aren't you? And that's what it's about, So yes, we've not talked technology because this isn't a technology conversation. It's about innovation in general. So wrapping it up before we go to Q&A.
I've just looked at the time.
I know. I was just going to say, 20 minutes. Oh no, it's gone 20 past 10. How did that happen? So wrapping it up, the support is out there. If you're a business who has looked to how you can change, or you're already going through that change process, but you're thinking, actually, I need something else, I need somebody to just guide me a bit more, contact Boost 0800 488 0057. Go onto the Boost website, have a look at what's available, but have the conversation. It all starts with that asking for help. Yeah, I'm amazing, aren't I? So there is a question. Well, there's two questions. So one says, how easy is it for small businesses to, I should put my glasses on, shouldn't I, to be part of the Can we not make it bigger? How easy is it for small businesses to be part of the supply chain for the larger organizations? What barriers do they usually face?
Well, I'm no expert on this. I'd say it's probably really hard, but that doesn't mean that those bigger businesses aren't looking for those smaller businesses to work with. And the challenge is about how we present ourselves, so that when these opportunities arise, we can go at them with vigor. And so, some of that is about the networks that you have. It's about your connectivity within Lancashire. It's about how open you are for horizon scanning, looking for what people are doing. But it's probably something proactive there as well. If you've got a target list of businesses that you want to work with because you know that you can add value, then the challenge is about what your storytelling is saying about your business. And are there hints and tips and tricks that you can do to get yourself in front of those bigger businesses? Where are they networking? How are they procuring their services? Do you understand how to offer yourself in for procurement? And if you don't, then that becomes part of the conversation with Boost about how we can actually go off and help you. And it's not just about Boost. None of this is about Boost. This is all about going to your trusted business support partners. So if you're a member of the chamber, they do loads of stuff around procurement. Utilize that membership. FSB, Shout Networks, Love Local, all these fabulous networks that exist to try and help with challenges similar to what's been presented today in terms of how do I get into those big businesses? Is it not just a closed shop? The reality is it's challenging because there will be someone already delivering that service. Now, as part of that whole innovation stuff, what you hope is they've got a bit complacent and you're that hungry person behind them with some new ideas, some agile thinking, something creative, something that's going to make them stop, drop the jaw and go, why aren't we using this person? Why are we using them when this person over here is telling me they've got something absolutely awesome? How do we get them in for that conversation? So there's no easy fix to that, But again, if there was any easy fixes to any of this, we'd all be doing it. So yeah.
I would say as well that there are a couple of partners within the Boost network so there is the Aerospace Alliance and the Automotive Alliance, who are member organisations who can help with that conversation. Obviously, Vanessa, it was Vanessa who asked that. I don't know what kind of part of the supply chain, who it is you want to go into, but there are some. I feel like we're hammering, but do go look at the Boost website, because there is so much in there, and start that conversation. And like Andrew says, get yourself out networking, and LinkedIn. Go search on LinkedIn. Who do you know who knows the person, etc.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's a great point. Absolutely. If you've got people on your target list, and then you go onto LinkedIn and see, oh, so and so's connected, can you just make a referral for me?
Yeah.
People are always asking for that, and as long as it's done in the right way, it's a very legitimate way to go off and do it. And just in terms of some of the other support, we've got people like Be the Business, which is a mentoring service. They actually use people from these bigger blue chip companies to provide free, I think they term it, free mentoring. So if on your target list you've got someone that's in BAE systems, and then through Be the Business service, there's someone within the BAE systems that's offering to mentor, what a match made in heaven that would be. I want to become one of your supply chain partners. How do I do it? Well, I'll tell you what, let's get you some mentoring with someone that's already in the system, that already understands how it works. It's genius.
Absolutely, and it's all there. Okay, and then what are the biggest challenges for SMEs in Lancashire? What do you think, Andrew?
Knowing what we don't know.
I would say as well, I think I've seen obviously quite a lot of business, even down to your local pub, changing and doing delivery of food. The innovation is across every sector, but I think one of the things to be wary of is that we don't go backwards once we come out of everything. We don't suddenly go, all right, that's it, I'm not going to keep delivering food. Hang on, they open up a whole new market to you, and a lot of those would stay with you. So I think, again, as part of our innovation journey, is to make sure we keep innovating and we don't revert back to type, because it's easy to revert back, isn't it, as well?
Yeah. Well, one of the things I'm liking at the moment, let's not bounce back, we need to bounce forward.
Yes, yeah.
And easier said than done. I absolutely understand that.
Yeah.
But there is definitely, if part of our shift, if you like, in emphasis around the whole Boost thing is about, before COVID hit, we're absolutely about the growth conversation, about the number of jobs that you created and the wealth that you created. We totally understand that's not a particularly useful conversation to be having at this time. It's probably quite helpful for some people that are doing very well, but for most businesses, the idea of me coming in and saying, right, how many jobs are you going to create if I give you some support is a nonsense. So instead, what we're trying to do is look at those. We want to support those businesses that are genuinely committed and passionate to making change in their business and positive change. And we want people to come through this process and then be able to bounce forward as a consequence of getting some stabilizing support, and then hopefully skyrocketing once the environment allows for that to take place. So we have shifted the emphasis away. Hopefully we won't come and say, right then, how many jobs is this going to create? I think what we and it's always been the case, I think, within the growth hub, but we can't hide away from the fact that
it's a measure, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm accountable for that £6 million of funds, and some of that accountability, and actually a major reason that people like Lancashire County Council and government are funding this activity is because we are going to create jobs, we are going to create wealth in the economy. Yes, COVID's hit, so it's changed slightly. We still want to get back to that, but at the moment, as long as you are committed to taking advantage of the support in a way that is going to purposely help your business navigate through any difficulties you've got, and you are going to take action, and that for me is the most important bit. Is I can give you as many people that could come and be absolutely magnificent to help your business, but if you do nothing with it and you don't actually take action, it will get nowhere, and it's a waste of a resource from the Growth Hub. So as long as, when we're having those conversations, we are convinced that because of the support that we're bringing in, we are going to see you change. And it comes back to that, I didn't do it, I do it now, and I do it with purpose and pace, and it's made a difference. Then Boost is here to help.
And I think I know myself as a mentor that I've had, I at the beginning, I didn't really expect anybody to want mentoring. You know, it was like, oh, we've all got everything else to deal with. But I had a number of businesses who took this opportunity to say, right, okay, I'm going to step back and look at my business and see where I want to go. And, you know, and it's been fantastic. And I agree, you know, it has to be, we have to be accountable. And for me, if you work with me, you get set homework. And, you know, if you don't do it, okay, how serious are you about it? Well, that's a nice way of doing it, yeah. But it is that whole thing around, you know, it's, you can have all the support you want if you actually put the effort in yourself. You know, there is so much out there, whether that is within, you know, Boost or in the private sector. You know, nobody can do it for you. You have to do it yourself, and you have to have that absolute drive within yourself to make your business grow in whatever format. And it isn't always about taking on people. You know, it can be just in increasing in business turnover and increasing back into the economy. Okay, right. I think it's 5-2. How did that happen?
And if it's me and you on a park bench, we'd be going on for another couple of hours. So.
I know. Oh, there's another question. Now I've got a cough. What help can Boost offer a startup? Would it be better go to the website? Absolutely go to the website, but I'm sure Andrew will help you as a startup as well. But if you do nothing else today, go on the website because it's amazing.
Yeah,
you know, what else
go to the website, and hopefully within our newsroom there's also some sort of inspiring stories of startups that have been through our process. What can we do for startups? I think that's down to the conversation that we'll have with you. It's a very personal response, but there is a very core startup program that is there to help you. As long as you are determined to make your startup be the very best it can be, there will be support. And we've got two lots of support. So we have pre-start. So if it's just an idea or a sort of side hustle at the moment because you're in full-time work already, or you might be facing redundancy and you might have a hobby or something that you are sort of looking as part of an alternative, we have a pre-start support, which can help you at least understand what you're setting yourself up for, which again will be challenging. You know, it won't be someone coming in with a book that says, do this and your business will be wonderful, it will flourish and everything will be a bed of roses. It's absolutely not that. But again, if you are determined to take on board the advice, the information, the webinars, the seminars, the workshops, there's definitely help and support. And then for the startup stuff, which is generally for businesses that are 3 years or younger, because we know that businesses in the first, well, it's generally the first 5 years, but certainly within the first 3 years of being in business, that is the time when you are most likely to fail. So what we try to do is make sure there's as much support as humanly possible for you to give it the best go you possibly can to make your business be absolutely brilliant. And again, that startup support is through webinars, masterclasses, but more importantly, you'll get a unique individual, a business advisor that will work with you as well. So part of the conversation will be, what are you great at? Because there'll be things that you're absolutely amazing at, you need absolutely no help. There will be stuff though that you're not so au fait with or just less enthusiastic about. So some of that might be, how do we bring back the enthusiasm for that stuff that you're not? And if there's stuff that is generally kind of, I just know nothing about it, we'll make sure there's bespoke information. It could be a bit of coaching. It could be, you know, we might have that same conversation with 6 or 7 people. So we'll put on a special workshop or a masterclass on that particular issue. So there's a whole plethora of support available for startups. The only caveat is you've got to want it. You've got to put the work in, and you've got to be determined to make that be as fantastic as it can be.
Yeah, nobody's doing it for you. It's your business when all's said and done. Okay, one last question that's come in through the chat.
Oh, the evil.
I know, they moved me away from the Q&A. Back to over here, go cross-eyed. Okay, this sounds really interesting and a great support hub. Always a good start. Do you have any experts? Do you have any experts who can give advice on businesses who are interested in innovation through robotics and automation?
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
There is definitely.
Start that conversation with us.
Yeah.
You know, but for me, that sounds like we might be putting you in touch with universities.
Yeah.
But it's also, if that's where your area of expertise lies, it's about who in Lancashire is already doing it. And let's look at some competitor analysis. Let's look at kind of what it is that you're doing that's disrupting, that's being a bit different. So there absolutely is. I can't even see the question, so I can't.
You have to scroll up.
But, start that conversation with us, because it sounds like a sort of interesting conversation that we'd want to have with you.
Yeah, somebody's actually put something in the chat saying the university can help, but also there's AMRC. There are lots of
Made Smarter Manufacturing Growth Funds.
Absolutely, there's lots out there. You know, when we talk about it, there are 64 different forms of support. So go have a look, and if you get really stuck and you don't think that what you want's out there, pick up the phone, have the conversation, because even if, heaven forbid, you couldn't actually get the support, you will be pointed in another direction completely. And it's
absolutely.
not,
and we do expect you to do your homework as well. So, you know, really, we want people to go and look and see what's available, because that makes our conversation then when we're having it with a business relationship management. So we're not saying, oh, you need to look there and there, because then you can come back to, well, actually look there. This bit was particularly interesting. It just helps us take that conversation on that bit quicker.
yes.
So it might be that if you've not looked at everything, our first conversation is you need to go and look at this, 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 and this. And then we'll give you a call in a couple of weeks, or you call us back in a month's time, and then we'll have a proper conversation, which can actually talk about what solutions might look like. Whereas if you've gone and read it all, then part of your conversation, yeah, I've looked at that. That doesn't sound like it's of interest to me, but this one over here sounds really interesting. So how do we take that one forward? And then it just allows us, well, actually, they're friends of mine. I can send an email, or we come back and sort of say, really, that's interesting, because we think maybe it should be this one.
Yeah.
So it is, you know, it should always be a robust conversation, not just us just trying to get you onto support. That's rubbish.
No, not at all. No, it's about helping you grow as a business and help you innovate as a business. Okay, I think we've gone over our hour. 40 minutes.